Okay. Good evening. This is the South Suburban Computer Club of the Chicago Computer Society for the month of March. Tonight's main topic has to do with Microsoft CoPilot. And on Windows 10 and 11, there is a difference between what 10 can do versus 11. You have to understand that. But if I'm correct, April 9th, which is Microsoft update day for April, will probably give 10 full access to CoPilot like it is in 10. Now, I'm going to pray a little bit here and see if I can get something going here. It'll be a miracle if I do. Okay, hopefully you see a black screen. And yeah, low system resources. Come on. Come on. Like I said, this is going to be laggy because this is I wasn't planning on doing all this stuff on one machine. All right, got that. Okay. I hope you can all see it. If you have problem, go up to view and hide the video sidebar.
You had it, but it just went away.
Yeah, well, I did the wrong thing. That's all. Don't worry about it. Hang on. Come on. And come on. Get share. For you guys under video, it's black button like. You can hide the video panel. Oops. All right. And this is about CoPilot, your everyday companion. Hang on one second here. I'm trying to get rid of the panel. Okay. Now, all right, CoPilot available in 10 and 11, though not as good and capable in Windows 10 today. But that changes in April. Like I said, I think it's going to be the 9th. Cross-platform entirely via Edge browser on Mac and Linux OS, where I have used it in Linux. I have not got a running Mac OS. You do need a Microsoft account on Windows to set your standard user account you use daily to be attached to Microsoft. Some people try and keep even a standard account local. To use CoPilot, you got to be attached. On Windows 10, you have to be on version 22H2 and up to date on all patches. On the left side, in Edge, you see this blue-green icon, and it also exists in Edge on 11 as well. But this is the normal CoPilot icon here. And on my system, on the taskbar, you would see this because I loaded CoPilot kind of like it is in 11, even though it doesn't have all the capability until probably April the 9th and an update. So I'm going to go on from here. the Edge browser. You see this icon here in the upper right corner, and that is the browser, the CoPilot. And then you also have here, I opened up a tab, I put in a search value of CoPilot. Now, on that, it gives you a CoPilot icon here besides the one here in the browser, and we are totally in the browser when we do this live. In addition, I can click on this CoPilot and it will change the general look. So I have 3 different ways I can launch CoPilot on any Windows system. These 2 icons here can work in any browser on any OS, as long as you type in a search of CoPilot. Should bring up the Bing, at least on my test it did, and you can click on either one of these and get CoPilot to work. Next screen. This is what CoPilot looks like when you click on this icon here.
Which icon?
Pardon?
Which icon where? You said this icon here, and I don't see which one you're pointing at.
The
Oh, that one there. Okay, got it.
All right. Now, what you get is your text bar down below, and to the right you have a microphone. And if you have your system settings right, and trust me, this can be a nightmare if you're privacy oriented, because many things you may have turned off. One of them is you got to have Cortana on. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. Number 2, you have to have your microphone set so that it picks up either your webcam or a separate dedicated mic if you're not using a webcam. Either one will work. Now, when you want to, you can go over here to the browser-oriented CoPilot icon. It does 2 things. If you're familiar with the icon up here to enlarge the screen, it gives you, if you just hover over it, the ability to split your screen between multiple views of things. Well, they put that in Edge browser. So it shrank the web portion over here on the left by about 25%, brought out the side panel in the other 25%. So now you have CoPilot here, and I can have it here in the main browser like it shows here. But I can go back to searching by clicking the icon up here on the browser side. So you can switch back and forth between the 2 views on the browser. I can leave CoPilot on the right side open, or I can X out and close it. That's my choice. And this is all on a slideshow. This is where you type in the 2 windows your text of what you're looking for. And I will have I hope, a live demo. We'll cross our eyeballs on that one. Also, whenever you're doing a CoPilot activity, you type something in, it gave you back a response. you can keep refining what it found in the text box by typing in additional information that it should consider in its response. But when you are totally done with the topic, you click on new topic, and this other icon in the side panel is the same thing. It's new topic, and it clears out whatever you were doing last. Next is both of them have the ability to have a microphone, and when it's set up right, a white microphone like you're seeing right now means the microphone is off. It's not listening. When you click on it, it will turn green and should say listening, that it's listening, but it's time limited. And I didn't check out the exact time that it stays on, but if it hears nothing for, I'll say 20 or 30 seconds, it will turn the microphone back off. And if you really want to have a little bit of fun, have your TV going, or if you like playing music, have it going with a vocal type music. Turn on the microphone and watch what happens. It's hilarious. When you hear a pause in speech, it'll turn off the mic and start analyzing what it heard. If you're running a commercial, it'll analyze the commercial. Not a joke. So it's crazy. Does anybody, before I start the live demo, have any questions, comments, opinions? Hearing none, I must be doing something right or something wrong. I'm not sure which. Maybe all of you fell asleep. I hope you're all still here. Is there anybody still here?
There's 10 people listed in participants.
Okay.
Yeah, we picked up two.
I understand. I'm seeing messages, low audio. I hope you're able to hear me. All right.
So far, so good.
Sounds great.
Yeah, right. This is a live screen. So I've got it at the search for CoPilot. I can click CoPilot, and there's CoPilot. So I can go back and forth, and I can also click this icon, and I've got total CoPilot here. And I can actually have two CoPilots going side by side. I don't recommend it due to the resources, but theoretically it is possible. So
Are they just mirrors of each other, or are they two separate co-pilots running? I mean, can you have on one side do one thing and on the other side do something entirely different?
I believe you can. I didn't test it out. I didn't have time. I'm sorry about that, Joe.
Okay, no problem. Just a question I'd never thought of before until I saw this demo, so this is great.
It's honestly, it's a legitimate question. I can't totally answer the question because I didn't have time to test it. Theoretically, you do have two co-pilots here, so you might be able to do two different things. But like I said, due to the resources, I don't know how well that'll work out.
Okay.
Understand, you are connecting to the internet to a computer in the cloud that's got the horsepower to do the co-pilot search. So this is, shall we say, part of the problem. Now, on the other hand, or other side of this particular issue here, I'm gonna attempt to try and do something here. No, I don't want that one. I don't want that one. Oh, yes, I do want that one. Hold on. Okay. Now, this gets hairy. Now, Whoops, almost highlighted the wrong stuff. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paste this in. Now what it says, use run command MS 232 under hardware resources conflict and sharing. I see the internet controller, I forgot one L, and a PCIe root port number 5, maybe the Wi-Fi Qualcomm card, have the same memory and IO port. How to change this to eliminate the conflict. Why am I doing this? Because Microsoft is depreciating the troubleshooters built in 10 and 11. They're going to go away. CoPilot, Bard, Gemini, ChatGTP, and others can be used to do debugging. What I normally do is when I'm doing computer stuff, I have it on precise. I want the most accurate, least hallucination responses. So I'm going to try this out, see what happens. And it's doing its best to think. I'm going to close the side panel and do it from here. Okay. So what it's doing is it's giving me its ideas, so to speak. I'm going to give you a tip. What I do when I'm troubleshooting something like a computer system for a problem, like I'm going to have to do, considering tonight, I will take and highlight my question as well as the response. Please note the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 in the response do not happen. I then open up either Notepad or WordPad for something simple and paste it in there. I will manually edit, putting in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever number of responses come back. This way, if I have to shut down CoPilot, the browser, anything else, I have the notes in either Notepad or WordPad, and I can read them to my heart's content as long as I save the file, and that way I can reopen the file even if I have to reboot the computer. Keep these things in mind. It's important. So I did that, and then I got a, oops, I don't want that one. I want this one. So then I came down. Well, on this one here, I didn't. Okay. Now, basically, if I had more details, I could plug these details in. It's using this original question plus anything else I give it down here to refine the response and maybe get something more accurate for this. I'm going to say new topic. I'm going to come back to here. I got to close. Oop, I already did. Looks like, no, I did. Yes, I did. Okay, I closed that. Didn't realize I did that. Here's another one. It's hilarious, but I don't know how long it's going to be take to produce something. So you're going to have to bear with me, and we'll see what happens. Picture of a stone house with rolling hills and smoke coming out of the chimney. That's my request. I could also change the word picture to maybe photo, and it might give better quality. I could say oil painting, black and white, sketch. There are several possibilities, and understand now. See this these four icons. This is the computer at up in the cloud thinking, trying to create the pictures, and it successfully did create some of the pictures. Actually, this went faster than my original test. And it's using what's called Dolly 3. And there's the picture, one of the four pictures that it brought up. So mind you, I'm not artistic, and me trying to describe something in to create some piece of art, it's amazing. I got this only because I attended some other meeting. It was a nice short phrase. I made a copy of it, so to speak, and started using it here. So that's another way of using it. I got, I think, one more example. Yeah. Now this one here is a network problem I had on one of my computers. This is a three-parter. So I'm gonna copy that and get rid of that. And I'm going to paste that. Now this is telling me I've got a Windows 11 Pro 23H2 up to date on a Dell Optiplex 3060 DM. Should have been a 3060M DM. Has lost the Ethernet driver and has its driver in a device manager, but neither Ethernet will or Wi-Fi will show up in the settings, network, and internet. How do I correct this? And it starts giving you some answers down here. As you can see, the way this is coming across, I'm really taxing my system. Not a joke. So next, I'm going to come down. I must have forgotten to copy it. Well, what I did was I added down here the card. The Wi-Fi card is a Realtek 8822 CU card. And it's taken what it had given us previously. It's now figuring out how to give you some better instructions to try and get the Wi-Fi to work. So this is how you can use a CoPilot, a Bard, a Gemini, ChatGTP, and many, many others to do troubleshooting. And when you've gone through the first series of response, you can refine the input, do some more checking here to try and figure out your problem and get it resolved. This is what I'm trying to show you. With the one with the picture, if you can describe a scenery and what you want in the scenery, well, you can then put that information in and see what it creates. If you have children, grandchildren, great grandchildren where you are at, change your from precision to creative and put in some parameters to create a story for the children for like bedtime. Balance is good when you don't you're not looking for high precision like you might with a computer problem or an automotive problem that you're trying to resolve to better understand what might be the problem and talk intelligently to a shop mechanic. But balance may have some degree of hallucination, meaning hallucination means you the computer doesn't have anything exact, so it makes up something and it's totally false. So it's like the children's bedtime story. Creative is almost all hallucination. You're just saying, this is what I'm looking for, make up something. And it does a great job at that. So this is a tool, I guarantee you, it's of the present and the future. So what you need to do is select what one you want to use and basically start using the tool as much as you can. Now, does anybody have any questions or requests at this point on using CoPilot?
Yeah, Tim, one of the things that you can do, you mentioned the hallucinations and things like that. When you have your questions, depending upon the type of question that you ask, if you ask the question and ask it to also provide links to its sources, it will provide you links. Now, some of the links are hallucinated, but it'll give you a link to try at any rate for the items. Or it'll tell you, I'm sorry, but there is nothing for that or something to that effect. But that's something that you can do, especially if you're doing something for a mission critical type of situation. You don't want to just rely on whatever it says. You want to make sure that what it's saying is indeed factual. And so you have to double check it. But at least it gives you a starting point. That's the thing that I find that's really great about all this stuff, is it gives you a starting point as opposed to having to go from square one and go with each individual piece and find 5,000 hits on Google or something like that. It'll get you started.
Right. That's the key. If you use any of the regular search engines like we've been using for years, you may have to go through several pages of articles to find just one that gives you the answer that solves your problem. That's a headache, very time consuming. So if you want to minimize it, you use one of these AI companions, and that'll cut down things. If you were somebody who is out looking for a job, you can create a cover letter or have it create a cover letter, and you should edit it, of course, to make sure that there's no errors in there. You can, I don't recommend it totally doing your resume, but it could take a copy of it and critique it. And that's a good thing. If you are in having done an interview, you can have it create a thank you. If you're some kind of a writer, whether it's say marketing, sales, creating books and so forth, you can use the companion to be a sounding board. you type in some ideas and see what CoPilot or other AI program can come up with that gets you out of writer's block so that you become more creative. And you may include some of what it brings up and some of it you may not, because again, did you make it creative? I wouldn't. Uh, did you make it balanced or precise? At least then what you're going to get back is more factual and more accurate, but you can't rely upon it. You have to be able to say, okay, it's a starting point. Now I got to go through it and I got to make sure of the facts that it states. And I got to also do some tailoring of my own, add in my own thoughts, comments, whatever, so that you make it into a humanized document, especially if it's like a resume, or if it's if you're a novel writer, you want to be as factual as possible. Well, the AI can help you, but you got to be real careful what you copy in to your novel. Whereas with a children's story, does it really matter? Most children's stories are fairy tales to begin with. And AIs can be quite good at generating fictitious children's stories. So it depends upon what you're attempting to do with the AI that is most important. You have to pause before you do, think out what it is you're trying to do, what information you can give the companion, and then put it in, see what happens. You may have to go through this several times, either by adding additional information to the first thing you put in, or you didn't like anything that it gave you back. So you hit new topic and try new words, phrases, etc. To type in. Now I'm gonna try turning on the microphone, and I gotta think of something first. I'm gonna go to precise. I have a Optiplex 3060 micro desktop computer, and currently I have no internet access, but the system is running on Windows 11 23H2, all up to date. What is likely the problem? And hit enter, turns off the mic, but it typed everything for me because not everybody out there is a good typist. So I now have typed in the question. I got to submit it. So I clicked on that to submit it. And this is a real machine, by the way. Come on.
There could be several reasons why your Dell Optiplex 3060 micro desktop computer is not connecting to the internet. Here are some common troubleshooting steps you can try. Check network connection. Ensure that your computer is properly connected to the internet. If you're using a wired connection, check that the Ethernet cable is securely plugged into both your computer and your modem/router. If you're using a wireless connection, make sure you're connected to the correct network. Restart devices. Try restarting your computer and your modem/router. This can often resolve temporary connectivity issues. Network troubleshooter. Right-click the network icon in the system tray at the bottom right end of the taskbar and select Troubleshoot Problems. This will launch the Windows Network Diagnostics tool, which can automatically detect and fix common network problems. Update network drivers. Ensure that your network adapter drivers are up to date. You can check for driver updates through the Device Manager in Windows. Check firewall and antivirus settings. Sometimes firewall or antivirus software can interfere with internet connectivity.
Okay, as you can see, if I use the microphone to use my voice to dictate my question, statement, request, whatever you want to call it will come back and it will speak it to you. Some people may like that, some people may not. But in either case, you have the text there, so I can copy it, put it into a notepad, or I can put it into WordPad as a light receptacle versus a full word processor like Word, LibreOffice Writer, etc. And that can be quite important when you have limited resources. I will say, and I want to emphasize this, the systems I'm on right now testing this with do have 16 gigs of memory. Now, you might get by with 8 as long as you're not running Zoom, and keep your resources of what programs you opened up to a minimum. 12 would be better, but that depends upon the machine you have as to whether you can configure 12. As an example, most laptops have 2 SODIMMs. Well, you could have an 8 if your machine takes 8 gig modules, and a 4 gig module that gives you 12. 12 is better than 8. 8 is better than 4. I would not even really consider this, though it's possible it might work with 4 gigs of memory. Also, too, a factor on a little bit of this, not a lot of it, maybe if you have a hard drive, it could slow things down compared to a solid state drive. So that could be another factor as well. But most of this is using your browser, the internet, and not much else, unless you're doing like in this meeting here where I'm trying to record the meeting as well. So you have to decide how you're going to allocate your resources with the amount of memory you have. The processor, you should be able to use any Intel processor, any Ryzen processor. When you start going back to Core 2 Duo, that's too light probably. A Core 2 Quad might work if it can be changed. But when you start getting into Pentium and Celeron processors, you may be way too underpowered to even deal with this kind of stuff. So everything depends upon what kind of a system you got, the browser, how much do you have open in your browser in the way of tabs, and how much memory you have in the system, to a small degree, whether you have a hard drive or a solid state drive, because it's not so much what you're going to be writing to the drive that you want. You have to remember the hard drive and solid state drive are used for the page file. So the less memory you have, the more your page file, which is virtual memory, is going to be taxed. So it's going to be pushing things out of memory into the page file and periodically bringing things back in when it needs what it pushed out to the virtual memory. So this is why the amount of memory, the processing unit you have, the internet speed. if you at least have 1 to 200 megabits per second internet speed, I think you'll be fine. When you have less, like old AT&T's DSAL, I think it is, or something like that. It was fixed at 25 megabits, and you never get all the maximum you're paying for that they say. So that one might be stretching the bubble to try and do that low of an internet speed. I have no way of testing that. So, are there any further questions or comments at this time?
Just an aside, Tim, you mentioned the thing for the grandkids and stuff like that. One of the things that you can do is you can have CoPilot create the story for you type of thing for the kids, but you can have the main character have the same name as your grandchild and be the same age as the grandchild, which makes it very personalized for the kids to have grandpa or grandma reading them a story that they can see themselves in the story, so to speak.
Yes,
Um,
excellent.
but that's something I've come across with some of the seniors that I work with. They've done this and it's been very, very successful, they say, with their grandkids. So
That sounds
just
like
thought I'd throw that in.
that sounds like an excellent idea. I probably myself would not have thought of it, but now that you brought it up, it really does sound like a great thing that you can't do with the regular children's storybooks.
One thing, when you give these names and other information about children, does this go through Microsoft servers?
Technically, yes, because it's
I'm not saying give first and last name. I'm just saying, if the child's name is Mary, make the character Mary or Tom or John or Jerry or whatever.
I was just asking the question.
I know where you're going with it. Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I would not say, Jane Smith, if that's her name, well, no, I wouldn't do that.
And that's both an important point. You have to think before you do, because you could be given out information of a full child's name. They might be able to track you down, especially if they're a pedophile, and bad things could happen. So when you don't use your head first, bad things can and do happen.
And the same thing is true of medical advice. If you're asking for medical information, you have to be careful how you phrase your request for medical information. And not specify, who it's for. You can't say, I have this problem and here's what my problem is. I have XYZ and what kind of solutions are there for me? You don't want to do that. You can have it as part of a larger type of question answer type of thing, but make it more anonymous. So you have to be, like you said, Tim, you really have to be very, very cautionary when you're dealing with this. Just like if you went to a library and you asked for information about something, you wouldn't give the librarian your life story. You would tell them what you want, but you wouldn't tell them necessarily why you want it. This is because I have a terminal illness and I want to know how much longer I have to live or something like that. You wouldn't say that, even if that's what you wanted to know.
Well, another thing that I want to add to what you just said on medical information requests, it's dangerous. And it's dangerous because most people do not do well in what they put in to get a response back. And worse yet, a lot of the information can be hallucination, misleading information. So if I was doing medical questions, besides the cautionary things you brought up, I would be very cautious to make certain I have it set to precise answers to give me the most accurate information. And even then, you got to remember, a lot of information about this stuff comes from what's out on the internet already. That means you have current, accurate health information. You have old, obsolete information. You have disinformation. All this is mixed in to the answers. That's why you have to be extremely cautious, especially with medical or anything about that would involve children that you have, whether they're your children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, whatever. It's you got to use your head and understand a lot of information you get back is going to be garbage. I have, for example, 6 responses here. I've had other troubleshooting where I had 6 answers. Answer number 1, I tried, didn't work. Number 2, I tried. Number 3, that was more than I wanted to do, so I skipped it. And I went to 4, 5, and 6, did those, and nothing worked. So as a court of last resort, I tried number 3. It did correct the problem. This is the kind of thing you have to understand about AIs. You may, in some situations, number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 answers here, any one of them could be legitimate and fix your problem. You don't know in advance. Some of these may be giving you information that's obsolete and out of date for your machine because you didn't specify it. You may also have to have misinformation come in. And misinformation isn't always deliberate. There are a lot of users out there that when they think they've solved their problem, they try and write it up in a post, okay? But somebody like me as a tech, I might be able to spot that the answer or response that they posted out there is inaccurate or obsolete. And the average person looking for the same information wouldn't know that. So the other thing that I want to emphasize with computers, and this includes AI, you have to have patience, persistence, and you can't give up. Maybe if you haven't got a solution right now that seems to be working, go away from it for a while. Go away from the computer even for a while. Try and do some other things and occasionally think about the problem and how I can rephrase the problem, how I can give it more information than what I originally did and get better answers back. You have to think of all these things. I've had some problems where it covered time to time over 3 days to try and get answers to my problems and get it resolved. So you have to understand that it's not instantaneous. It's not absolutely accurate at all times. And most problems on computers in particular, or cars, which are 4-wheel computers these days, they have a myriad of possibilities as to what's causing the problem. That means you have to give it more accurate information to get more accurate answers back. And you may have to go through several things to find the one that works for your problem. And you could have 10 people lined up with the exact same model of computer, making model of computer, with all the accessories and everything else, or it could be a car. And what works on mine solving the problem may be different for all but maybe one of the other people. The other people, two of them will have a different answer that solves their problem. Another two will have another answer that solves their problem, and so forth. So it's a case where you don't know always what totally caused the problem. This is kind of like throwing darts at the dartboard. And every time you're hitting the dartboard, you get one of these responses here and you try it out, see what happens. It might work for your case, it may not.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that, you might mention is if you look at the bottom of your answer there, you'll see that it has some links where you can go to check on the information
Yes.
right below there. In Gemini, what you can do is where it has the thumbs up and thumbs down, there's also a little Google symbol. And if you click on the Google symbol after you get an answer, it will go out to Google and check its own answers against itself. And then it'll come back and it'll reprint its response, and it'll have green highlighting over things where it found a source and red over sections where it has not found a source. And so that'll help you with it. That's with Gemini. Now, there and of course, if it finds a source, you can click on it on the green, and it'll take you out to that source, and you can follow up on it. So it's a quick way of doing a double check on the information that you get back. And the same thing with CoPilot here with your links at the bottom there. It's doing essentially the same thing or similar thing.
Yeah, it's just a case where sometimes I will go out to the links. Other times I find one of the responses solves my problem. Well, I go to the links offhand. So it varies person to person using the tool as to how they want to deal with it. Certain topics outside of computer problems, you very much may want to have those links. Go to those links and have the actual article or forum type posting, and that way you have a factual reference possibly for a paper that you're creating, such as if you were back in college and you got to have a term paper. Well, term papers require a reference to what you are saying in the paper. Therefore, if I've got the links and I got the one that I think is the most accurate, I go grab the link. I've got the article. I can reference the article in my paper. The teacher, professor, whatever, adjunct is happy with that part. So if you ever did college term papers, that's a good point that he's bringing up. So there may be times when you do want to go out to the links and find out what the actual article said in whole. It may enlighten you to additional information that can help you down the road and with other problems. So keep that in mind as well. These AI assistants can be a real viable tool, and I think they're going to get more and more use. You can even use these. There are a lot of people that use extensions for shopping comparison when they're looking for a specific item to try and get the lowest price. They don't always look at the shipping cost and or oh, this is coming from the West Coast. How long is it going to take to get here? Kind of deal. But you can use the AI assistants for shopping assistance. I'm looking for the best prices, and you got to specify some date, like March 2024. I want the best price I can get for the following item, a bar of soap. And it'll go out and find the best price. If you want to go to a local store, now you got to give it an idea of where you live. And that way it can find stores in your area that might have that lowest price for that item. Anybody got any other ideas of how to use these AI companions? Does anybody have, in general tonight, a problem that they want to ask for some idea of how to resolve that problem? Maybe we can ask the AI companion. Boy, you guys are a lively bunch. Offhand, Wayne, I sent you an email with a piece of information about a different Wi-Fi card that I found. One thing you can do in an AI companion, you put in your maker, you look at the bottom of the laptop for the item label, get the model number precisely, put that in and say, what kind of a Wi-Fi card can I put in this machine? And really, there's only two answers. So since the other Wi-Fi card we tried before doesn't work because it's for a more modern machine, the one I sent you the email on is the older card, and it's getting hard to find the 7265. If you can't get one of those two, or you don't want to go to China for it, a 7260 of the same style would work.
Well, I have a Wi-Fi card, but it's only, it's only for the 2, not the 5.
I understand, but the 7260 is a dual band card.
Oh, okay.
Just like 7265 that I sent you the email on with a link to an eBay. They only had 4 postings, but through eBay, you're going to China for.
Yeah, the one that I tried when I put it in, when you turn the machine on, it didn't even like it. It said it wouldn't accept it.
Well, odds are the 7265 that you got is the new M.2. Well, if your machine ain't built for M.2, it ain't going to work. You have to probably have this older style.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anybody else got any ideas of how to use an AI companion that we can try out? Especially if you want to try and develop a picture. Can you describe the picture that you have in mind textually?
I've been using it trying to find somebody.
I haven't tried that. And part of the reason for that is depending on the person's name and people moving around the country, etc. I don't know how accurate the information is going to be, and it could be that you have to go through a hell of a lot of people to find the person you're looking for, unless you tell it more about the person, such as general age, last known location was, things like that. So trying to find a person, possibly doing a background check like businesses do, I'd be real cautious on what you get back as to whether it's accurate enough to really be used. Because sometimes you would say Chuck Norris as a name. Well, I don't know how many there are. There could be 100 Chuck Norrises in the United States. If I limit it to the United States, if I leave it open, you got how many Chuck Norrises in the whole wide world? I don't know. And
Hey, Tim, this, can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to just try my own name and see what comes up.
Yeah, well, let's see what we can do here with that idea. I didn't select new topic, so I'm sorry, but I can't assist you with that. These are new safeguards being put in. These are called guardrails. And so some things you put in, it's saying, I cannot assist you with that because it's being restricted by whoever is running the AI. And this is to prevent defamation liability situations, possibly a pedophile or other cyber criminal trying to find out more about you and use it against you in some fashion. Think of all the stories in the last 6 months about these people that are using AI and creating phony baloney nude photos by putting the head of a teenager on some nude female image and trying to either blackmail them into doing something else or getting money, threatening them to post this information out on the internet for all their friends to see. This has probably led to some suicides. And as far as I'm concerned, if they can track that person down, I would charge them with first-degree murder.
Yeah.
So
One thing, Tim, about the text to image, there are certain words that are forbidden and certain concepts that are forbidden. There's if you try and put in the name of a contemporary celebrity and have it do them, it will not let you do that. Also, certain words like anybody with the first name of Dick, like Dick Clark or Dick Gregory or anything like that, it will come back and say you've used a forbidden word and we can't, we aren't going to do anything for you on that. The same thing is true if you talk about children or whatever. There's various trigger words that will shut that thing down, that won't let it make those pictures for you. So you have to come up with other ways of getting around it. Instead of saying a little boy or a little girl, you can say a young human male or a young female, human female type of thing, and that might work. One of the things I've been playing around with lately, which is kind of fun, is using just emojis to ask for an image. And it comes up with some pretty good images. You take a boy, the image for a boy, the image for a heart, and the image for a girl, and hit the enter key, and it comes up with some very nice, cute little images. I did that for what do you call it? Valentine's Day. Came up with some nice little card type things that I could use for a card.
Well, those are good points, and that's part of that is the safety rails that they are putting into the AI to prevent some problems. Also, another one related to what you brought up there is if you try and use uh, Disney Mickey Mouse characters in a suggestive fashion sexually, it won't do that anymore.
Oh, no.
So you have to understand if you're into pornography a lot, if you're into pedophilia, this AI companion stuff is changing and getting in more safeguards before the government mandates it. And so you're going to have a harder time using this kind of technology for what you want. Not impossible, but I think you have to, in some way, tell the article you're an adult and you're looking for adult type content. Maybe some of that, not all of it, will work. It depends upon what you're asking for. Because it does have keywords that it's looking for. You hit one of the keywords, you're getting nothing. So these are real issues. We got Terry Moore here. He does taxes, even though it's for primarily for business, though he may do some individual stuff too. You might be able to ask it tax questions, but I guarantee you I want it on precise answers to try and get some quick information with links so that I can go to government type documents and be able to see for myself the documents behind the answer that say, this is a valid deduction. This is not a valid deduction, etc. So these are, and what's taxable, what's not taxable. So it can be used in a wide variety of ways and different things. Trust me, we haven't even, oops, I guess Bob Premick's been having some issues. Well, at least I'm not alone. At any rate, it's kind of a case where you do have to exercise caution. You have to think through what you're asking for. Then you have to be cautious what you get back. Bert, you got a question, your hands up.
Well, I wanted to point out that, we're really just in the beginning of this uh, CoPilot area. That right now, it's sort of based on whatever we know about in the internet, we'll say, as the answers. But in a business world, I think we're changing things a little bit to have dedicated areas of information. So that you use the tax example, well, maybe you'll have only tax code searches. In other words, other things won't be even part of it. It'll just be limited to certain databases of specialized information. So maybe you want to have it so it's only about Mac computers. Maybe you want to have it so it's only about uh, I don't know how many McDonald's restaurants. I mean, there's lots of ways where you can focus in on the data it's reaching to be able to come up with these answers.
Okay, that's a good point from two standpoints. Number one, as far as I know, these AI companions are using only what's out on the internet. However, Intel and AMD in their Ryzen chips are rushing out NPUs, neural processing units. Most of them will be incorporated in CPU chips in future machines. Some may be a chip that's put on the motherboard with a generic CPU chip. And there could be a third possibility for older machines where you get a card that you plug into a slot into a desktop machine and get NPU access. Or you may be able to use a discrete video card in a desktop computer to accelerate AI processing. But the NPU gives you the ability eventually to turn off the internet, and all you have is the local network and any local servers that contain business information to draw upon. Otherwise, if you only have one computer in your whole house, you can do the same thing, and it uses the information in your computer to try and give you quick access to some of the information you already have on your machine that you may have forgotten. So it's one of these things where that's the only caveat I am aware of right this minute with trying to do a more localized, even business type data access versus out on the internet. The business is always hooked up to the internet, so I don't know of a way right now where they can say in such a search, I want to localize this to only my in-network or intranet data, not the internet data. And I haven't seen anything yet that gives me the indication I can do that. But I do know with an NPU capability, I can do my own local searches and totally disconnect the internet from that machine. And it only uses what's on that machine or my local home network. If I turn off the router and I have, say, a server or a NAS, it can search all those machines that are on for the information. Bob?
Yeah. Another thing that is being developed are specialized AI or LLMs, which are specific to particular disciplines. And they are trained on data that are only the data that are pertinent to those disciplines. You could have one that's trained on the tax laws, for example, or one that's trained on law in general.
Yes, but I mean, Bert's question or thesis was that I am a business. I have developed my own information, my own databases.
Mhm.
I only search that for the answers to my questions.
Yeah, these LLMs can do very sophisticated queries, much better than you'd be able to do by trying to type in keyword queries or remember these complex formulas that we've always used with databases. All you got to do is ask a plain English question, or in your industry jargon, ask a technical question, a specific question. And if you've got your AI trained properly, your local AI, it will know what you're talking about and it will know how to find stuff.
Well, like
And then you have to fact check it.
right now you got to have machines we don't have right now.
Right.
They're coming, but they're not here yet.
Yeah, they're 13th, 14th gen Intel.
Yeah, and it's only in the 14th gen. Some of the CPUs will have an NPU, and Ryzen, I think it's the 7000 series. Some of them will have an NPU. Microsoft is just now recognizing recently the AMD NPU. But a little tip, there's already some company that has created a super fast NPU that already obsoletes the NPUs that are being put into production now. And a suggestion was made in the article that I read that the Intel and AMD need to get out their ink pens and sign a contract real quick with this developer and be able to start using that for a super NPU.
They better do that before ARM gets to it, because ARM could put it on a system on a chip.
Right.
And the way ARM architecture differs from the full instruction set architecture makes it really easy to add new cores for new features and to give the cores access to their own memory and their own GPUs. And this is really going to upend the industry.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shakeup now and coming a couple of years probably. Bert, do you still have a question?
Yeah, you may or may not be aware of it, but as I understand it, they're going to expand how CoPilot could work on OneDrive, so that if you have all your personal data in OneDrive, that it can just do the search limited to that.
Yes, but also too in 11 and not yet in 10, that might change next month. You can have CoPilot actually do some control of your computer and stuff like that. I don't know if it will initially have access to what I call smart home devices, such as lights, switches, Wi-Fi plugs, et cetera, to be able to turn them on or off. But there's a lot of things that within your own computer system you can automate by just voice commands.
Well, but if you keep your data in OneDrive, not only will the system back up your OneDrive information if it's in the right folders, but again, you can find things much better in terms of searching, as long as they put CoPilot, have the ability to get to the OneDrive data.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah. What I wanted to do was, you were saying something about home automation.
Right.
Microsoft is trying to push, at least onto my Windows 11 computer, something called Home Automate, which is an app from their store.
Okay, if that's the case, they haven't tried it on mine yet, but in that instance, then if CoPilot can start controlling your computer, odds are it can access that app and thus turn on and off lights and other odds and ends. So the sky's the limit. Whether you want to do it or not is another question. And in relation to Bert's comment, which is probably very correct about OneDrive, there's a hell of a lot of people I come across in various meetings I go to that will never, ever, ever use cloud storage, no matter whether it's Microsoft, Google's, Dropbox, Amazon, etc., and even Apple's iCloud. They just feel it's too high of a risk, that they're going to have sensitive information of theirs stolen, stuff like that. It's paranoia, but you can't usually get these people convinced that there are more and more safeguards every day to try and prevent the loss of some of that information, especially in light of all the data breaches of their information from especially like medical and legal type avenues. Bob?
Would maybe some of these people might want to look into, though they may not want to go to the trouble, is to self-host using Proxmox and certain other applications.
Hmm, that's a possibility too, but most of the people that say they don't like the cloud for storage purposes, most of them are not techies to start with, so you're above and beyond their pay grade, I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh
And
yeah.
so even though for somebody like me, I could do something like that, uh, that's a different story for the majority of people.
This is true. This is
So,
why they might want to consider what their options are and what they want to have to put themselves through in order to use them.
well, I mean, like I said, uh, one thing that Microsoft is constantly trying to do with me anyway is they want me to accept their suggested settings. And I keep telling them my view and opinion, though they can't hear me. And so, bottom line is, I roll my own. Well, some of that uh, uh, is privacy concerns. I turn a bunch of features off, either directly in Windows or by a third party application. And in my experimentation that took about a week of time, whenever I had the time, I found I had to take some of the third party settings, change them to off, and I had to go into Microsoft privacy and security settings, and I had to make changes there. And then tonight, trying to get Zoom up and going, I ran into the strangest problems I didn't expect, and how it's now working.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask God because I haven't got a clue. I don't know why it was causing me problems to start with, and because it wasn't making sense. They kept telling me I've got settings in privacy and security for like the microphone. Well, all the settings there are exactly what I should have. So what's your issue? And for video, it gave me no answers. So other than it says, I can't connect the camera, I can't connect the camera, I can't connect the camera. It was driving me up a friggin' wall. So I can tell you right now, you'll either have an easy time getting it going because you're not heavily into privacy security issues settings on your computer, or you're going to have a rough time and it could take you hours to a week to figure out what is blocking your access, especially if you want to use voice. It's easier for the plain vanilla texting, but there are so many people that do not know how to type that that's an issue. So when you're doing one or two finger typing, you're going to have all kinds of headaches. Whereas with the microphone, that's where a lot of settings may be out of whack, blocking you, and you got to figure out how to get them unblocked. The AI companion may be able to help you some, but that depends upon the quality of information and questions you put in. And you'll have to do that by typing. Anybody else got any issues? I've got, in addition, if I can access the stupid things, a couple articles related to all this, and I have a handout of articles, and if you want, I can do the PowerPoint too. In February, there was in February, Windows Update was causing chaos for millions of PC users. I didn't experience it, but I believe them in what they're saying. This is from Forbes, and what caught my eye originally was this one here. where people using Windows 11 in the March update were reporting slowing down of PCs and breaking internet connections. I didn't experience that either, but they do in at least this one article bring up some updates that you can look on your system. If you go into Windows Update, there's a update history, and you have to. They're in not random order, but when they were put into a system order. So they, to the best of my knowledge, I couldn't find a way of sorting them. I cannot use Control F to do a find operation. You just have to go through looking for, I usually look at the last 4 digits of the KB number and see if I can find it in my updates. If I got it in my updates, maybe it's an update. If I'm experiencing problems, I want to uninstall, and maybe my problem will go away. There was even in here where somebody spent a good deal of time. Yeah, here we go. Here's another. My Ethernet does not work as well since yesterday's update. After pardon me. After removing updates, 2 of them, via settings menu, my internet connection is working again. Took me 10 minutes to do it. Now, he knew what he was doing, so it took him less time. Somebody that has less tech skills, it's going to take them longer. They may need help, etc., etc. So I'm just pointing these 2 things out. Some people are having all kinds of problems, and this has to do with Windows PCs are made by a lot of different manufacturers, and all the components are from a variety of manufacturers. And some of these manufacturers do not follow Microsoft's guidelines, and they cut corners to save fractions of a cent to a penny here and there to make more profit, and it creates nightmares for the rest of us. So you might be interested in that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can put in the chat. If I can, well, I got to get out my share first. Sorry about that. And I'll go into the share. Oops, not the share, the chat. Come on, bring up chat. There you go. Boy, that's slow. All right. I'm gonna put in. Okay. I just posted. You'll have it within a minute. The articles, the 2 articles I just brought up there about Windows Update problems on some systems are the first 2 articles. Hang on a minute. Come on. Boy, is this sluggish. Come on. Oh, you're being stubborn. There. Oh, I had you for a second and I. There. Oop. I had it and disappeared. There it is. Oh, chat's blocking. Ain't that fun? No. Come on. Oh, come on. Rotten. Darn it. Why is this thing, as soon as I select it, going sideways? Oop. Hang on just a minute. If you can't do it one way, try another. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. And it's loading up the PowerPoint. Within a minute or two, you should have the PowerPoint. If you click on each of them, you can download them to your computer if you're interested. Oh, Jim Freeberg even showed up. That's a miracle. You can do your taxes with the AI. You're obsolete. Okay. I hope those of you who are interested in the articles and stuff got those downloaded. They're still up there while we're here. You can look at anything else in the chat. Are there any other questions, problems, issues that we need to discuss? We got about 15 minutes to kill. Anything from Jim Freeberg or Harry Nelson? Terry Moy, I think, went to sleep. Wayne, you've been somewhat quiet. Nothing?
Huh. Hmm.
So nobody's got anything. Oh, Bert, go ahead.
Well, this isn't what you want to hear, but when you talk about not having your data in the cloud, if you have an iPhone, everything goes to iCloud. It's in their cloud. There's there is no security. There's no in reality, and every app you have wants to take over your information anyway. So it's just the way it is until somebody can invent a system that actually could be secure
Well,
and limit who can get access to it.
just a minute, Bert. It's a good point you brought up, but the majority of people believe Apple, iCloud, iPad, and Mac OS are all secure, that there are no problems, there is no malware, etc., until they get malware and they say, I got a problem here.
Well, but every site you contact, you're attached to, every web page you go to, no matter what browser you have, I mean, these are all links where your system is talking to the world.
That's right. And but the thing is, they think it's more secure. To some extent, it is, but it's not the security they think. It's like private browsing in your browsers. A lot of people think that's absolute privacy. Sorry, no, it's not private at all, really.
Well, this is the world we're in, good or bad. And every time you do a search like a CoPilot, all that bad information can pop up.
That's right, and but it also applies to our old search engines as well. Somebody out there knows everything we did, and usually it's more than one.
And they're selling it on the dark web as we speak.
That's right.
Oh, it's not just dark web. They also sell to advertisers right out in the open.
That's right. The businesses themselves, your ISPs will sell chunks of information for a certain dollar amount so that marketeers and salespeople and other manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers can target advertise.
Now, here's an interesting one. Most of our cars collect a lot of data about how we drive. And now it turns out insurance companies are getting their hands on the data. And even if you're not on one of these opt-in plans, they still are keeping tabs. They know they can attach it to you.
Yes, there was a story, I think, in tonight's news that somebody found out that his insurance company got such information about his driving habits, and suddenly he's got a big increase in his insurance. And there isn't much he can do about it at this point. If he's a somewhat risque driver, yeah, they should nail his butt with higher premiums. But if he's a good driver and it's misinformation, he's got a possible lawsuit.
Well, look at all the cameras that are around, the outdoor cameras. I mean,
CCTV.
But I don't
and
know.
then you got
I don't know.
license plate readers.
Right, license plate readers is one thing, but a lot of the traffic cameras, I don't know if any of that information may get sold and end up in the hands of your insurance companies or not.
I know, but there are law enforcement uses that can be made of them. Nevertheless, there is no expectation of privacy on a public street or
Right.
anything like that.
No.
That's why anything that happens out on the public streets can be taken into court as evidence in a legal case, whether it's criminal or liability.
Yeah, just don't point any of your cameras at anybody else's property.
Yeah.
That causes problems. That includes drones.
Well, you can take photographs of front yards, but you can't take them of backyards. Because front yards, there's no expectation of privacy. Backyards, expectation of privacy. But like you say, why cause problems?
Yeah. Well,
You know.
it gets more complicated in rental and condominium communities. It's a difference between common areas and other private
Yeah.
areas. So it gets really complicated.
Like Airbnb.
Well, Airbnb isn't permitted in my apartment community.
Yeah, but I mean, they have problems with internal security cameras, and you got to be now upfront that you have cameras, where they're at, etc. And you may not be able to have cameras in certain areas due to the expectation of privacy by whoever rents your property.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a crazy world, and it's getting worse.
Yeah, but in terms of the AI, you can't tell it not to store, and you can't tell it discard this and that. I mean, you can ask, but they won't necessarily do it. Same thing with search. But with putting your own data into the cloud, there are services that are encrypted on your machine. It remains encrypted end to end. It is stored encrypted, and they don't have the keys.
Right.
You pay through the nose for these services, but they do exist.
Yeah.
When you get a phone call and it says it's from somebody plus so many others, 9 others, like, who is it that you're really talking to?
Everybody.
Oh, world, it's a party line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a group call or conference, and a lot of families use it to all keep in touch.
And politicians hold virtual town meetings.
Sure, but we don't like to get into politics.
I'm just saying this is something that happens, and it's similar.
Well, all I know is this is if people seriously over 20, 25 years, I have seen on various posts and forums and stuff like that, complaining about all the changes that are taking place, man, they haven't seen anything yet in the changes that are already taking place in the last couple years, let alone what's coming down the pike. They, if they're that turned off by all the changes, A, never go on the internet. B, learn how to code your own operating system and application programs, and it'll stay private unless somebody breaks into your home and seizes your computer. Then it starts becoming potentially public.
Well, I-
I'll bring up one more thing that the problem, because everything is on the internet now, everything is through your phone now. If you pass away, how does anybody, survive the information or ever be able to provide, the ability to gather your resources to move on?
Well, there's actually websites that will allow you to create legacy information to be passed on to certain people every
Well,
X
that only
number of-
works if somebody's already done it in advance.
Well, yeah, they have to be prepared in advance. But the thing is, if you set it up and it contacts you every X number of days, and you have to contact it back within X number of days. And if you don't contact it back, it sends the information to the person you have designated as your heir or your executor or whatever, and they have access to the information. They can close out your Facebook account, your Gmail account, all of your various accounts that you may have, your Amazon account, etc. They can close all that stuff out because you've got a record of that information. And
Right.
there are some websites, I don't have the address of it off the top of my head, but there's several of them out there that do that. They offer that service. And yeah, you have to pay for it. It's not a freebie or anything like that. It's something you pay for.
It's like having a will pre-made before you
Yep.
die, not after you die. And this is part of the information. You could also have within your regular will information
Yeah.
as to, say, for example, I have a password manager. Well, I could have in my will that you go to this website, you put in this email address, you put in this master password, you have access to all my online accounts, and they could start closing those down also.
I understand that you can prepare, but I'm pointing out that when somebody isn't prepared, because everything's through the internet and everything's theoretically secure passwords, it can be a disaster.
Well, if you don't prepare for, if before we had computers, if you didn't prepare and you didn't have a will, the same thing happened. It went through probate, had all the relatives jumping up and down. I want my share, So it's just a matter of technology that makes a difference here. You've got technology you got to deal with instead of a bunch of greedy relatives
And
and hangers on.
when it comes to your social media accounts, some put in their wills that they make a change on the social media that becomes a memorial, so to speak, of that person and information about them. So it's, I guess you could say, like a headstone on a gravesite. Only,
Yeah, these are called legacy sites, or it becomes a legacy site or page.
Yeah.
The services vary in terms of what they offer and how you set it up. Most are not terribly good about it, especially not X, formerly Twitter, now that it is run by we know who.
well,
Not so good anymore.
that
Ellen, huh?
is always varied anyhow. So it's one of those things where you have to investigate what is and what is not available.
Yeah. Well,
Anybody got anything else offhand? We're getting to the witching hour.
We could have AI set up our digital legacy will.
Yeah,
And don't laugh, that'll probably happen soon.
yeah. Don't laugh about that because it probably will.
Actually, the AI could remind us of sites we didn't even remember. And
Oh.
it could remind us, hey, you're signed up here, here, and here, and here. And we're like, what?
I pulled one or two sites, and I was never ever able to break into them because I forgot the password and any record I had of the password, and I couldn't convince it I was the owner of the account either. So,
Well, take care, everybody. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
taking off. Take it
all
easy
right.
now.
I think
Yeah.
Good
close
program, Tim.
the evening,
Thank you.
and thank you very much for showing up.
Take care now.
Thank,
Take
thank you,
care.
Tim, for the extra effort getting all this set up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was monumental.
Yeah.
Thanks.
more than you know.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
We having fun yet?
Oh yeah. Especially when I got to sit down and try and figure out what the hell happened and is this going to affect me down the road here? But I had been playing with the AI quite a bit, and it's kind of a case where uh, I had been using AI off and on. I used several different ones. Uh, I just decided to do the CoPilot as you suggested, which is fine. It's just a case where, like I say, there are a lot of settings that you may have to go through to figure out your problems. The basic text type will work on just about anything, as is. It's when you get into using the microphone to dictate and have it speak back to you, like I showed you, that that's when you're going to run into these problems. And suddenly, the next time you use Zoom or something like that, you don't know what's going to happen. It's a real headache. And the funny part is, earlier today, before I went to a doctor's appointment, I did a backup of the Windows 11 computer. And yet I had all these problems. And the question is, if I restore that backup, am I going to run through the same kind of problems that I just went through tonight?
Well, it may be that the Zoom's, communication, speaking and voice stuff conflicted with something.
It's possible. It's possible.
And most of it's drivers, which you don't have any control over.
Well, drivers I keep up to date on quite good, but it's just a case where some of these things conflict. If I want to do my OBS recording, okay, fine, not a problem. Except you have to bring up Zoom first and let it get a hold of the microphone and camera first before you bring up OBS, because once OBS is up, Zoom can't access the camera and microphone. That's the kind of, that's a software conflict between two pieces of software.
Somebody wants to be the boss, that's all.
In a manner of speaking, yes. Okay.
Wayne, take care.
Good night, Wayne.
Good to see you.
Well, I couldn't keep track like I normally do of attendance. I'll go through the video and figure it out from there.
There were 8. Sometimes somebody said 10, but but you were there twice, so I don't know. Say 9. Sounds okay.
Yeah, whatever. I'll go through the video. I got to go through the video anyhow to see what the hell I got and whether I got to edit it. All right. Well, I'm gonna call it a night. I got a start looking at the video and seeing what I got to do before I send off something to Sanford for posting and be out of for attendance.
Okey doke.
All right. I got something
So
else.
I think the topic was a good topic. And you might consider it at some of the other sites too.
Well, I have another topic in mind for next month that is a tool. You might not like it, but it's a good little tool for it's a spin-off of what's called God mode in Windows. And if you ever looked at God mode on 10 or 11, man, trying to find one setting to make a change by itself that you know up front is a headache. This is a lot easier. And
Understood. There's also power apps people keep talking about lately that have a lot of similar to God mode functions.
yeah, but this is strictly for really Windows, and you can do some custom tailoring. And some of them are good because you have a harder time getting a computer into safe mode than you used to have.
I
Well,
understand, but Microsoft Power Apps is similar kind of things,
right.
like changing keyboards, keystrokes, and
The
all
power,
that kind of stuff.
the power apps that you're talking about is Power Toys, and
No, there's a. It's on the. What do I have here? Let me look at the phone to get the right name. Power Apps.
okay, I'll look for that too. But
That's what's on my iPhone. So, but people are talking more about that, and it's the same like God mode
yeah,
type things.
well, I'll take a look at it. I have Power Toys, but it's made by Microsoft employees, but it's out
Yeah,
of
I understand, but they may sometimes have changed names.
yeah,
They've been doing that a lot lately.
yeah.
So it may be the same thing, it may be something different. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you happen to notice on the Windows 10 screen, I have the new version of CoPilot icon there because I found a way of putting it on the taskbar, basically installing the app. And but it sounds like after April the 9th, it'll already be there. So why?
Yeah, they've been weird with the Power Apps thing, with the co-pilots icons. It was on the left, now it's on the right,
You
you
know,
know.
well,
And some apparently there's also some of them are like GIFs where they're changing form,
yes.
colors.
And well, that's why I say there's the different color icon in the Edge browser, but in 11, it's the other color, multicolor icon that is supposed to be the standard. But on 11, they turn off in the far right bottom corner of the taskbar. You used to be able to move your cursor down there, click, and it took all your windows down so you could see the desktop. That isn't there right now unless you know where to go in settings in the task in not taskbar in the personalization, then in the taskbar buried down near the bottom is behavior, and down in the fifth item of behavior, you can turn that little feature back on.
I have lots of things on my taskbar, so it's actually a taskbar and a half of another taskbar.
Yeah,
There's so many items on there.
I try not to go that route. I know of that capability. There used to be an app that you put in 10 that gave you that kind of capability, and then Microsoft adopted it and built it in.
Yeah, but that's on 11. It's there now.
Yeah, and but the nice thing is where you can split the screen. Uh, that feature is in the Edge browser, so that when you use the taskbar, it just shrinks the browser page, and you can have both open at the same time.
Yeah, I don't like a split screen.
Yeah,
Every time it comes up, even it's that snap stuff, actually. But I I don't like a split screen at all.
I don't mind it for certain things. Most of the time, I don't use it, but on occasion, especially when you're trying to compare two things, whether it's File Explorer, documents, spreadsheet, whatever the case may be, that's a way of doing it.
Well, but in Edge, I open a web page, and the you got the bar, which is where it came from, and then you got the web page. I close the bar every time, but it's twice as much work.
Now, see, that's the thing. In settings, you can turn off the sidebar. But if you're going to use CoPilot, you have to have that feature on.
Well, but when they talk about bars, it gets confusing because of whether it's a little narrow bar or a third of the page.
It's both. And
Well, I understand, but when they talk about you can turn off the sidebar, they're
if you,
not necessarily meaning the third of the page.
if you go into settings and on your left column, you'll see a sidebar. It gives you at least 3 or 4 different settings. The first one has to be on to get the side panel. And that one has to be there to use CoPilot in Edge without going to a browser tab and typing in CoPilot, etc.
Well,
But
I click on the Copilot icon and I don't
the,
want it there ever unless I ask for it.
the side tools, that one's one of the other two buttons in the sidebar category.
Well, because in Edge for my screen, on the left side, I've got the various Edge pages. And, and so I don't want another third of the screen taken up by Copilot unless I ask for it.
Right, and that's where you have the option of opening a tab, type in CoPilot, and you can run CoPilot from a regular tab. That's why.
Well, but that still wouldn't do it that way either. I like the icon, the little toolbar at the right, just so I know I've got those choices. But I don't want the third of the page.
Well, the other thing too on 11, the icon that's down on the taskbar, wherever it may be, when you click that, you don't have to have your browser open. It just brings up CoPilot on a quarter of the right side of the page. You do your stuff, and you can run other programs that aren't even a browser.
Well, more and more they're adding it to all the Office apps,
Yep,
and we'll see how that evolves.
especially Office 365.
Well,
Remember,
everything is Microsoft 365.
well, Microsoft 365 being in the cloud, you're already there. All you're doing is linking in Copilot in the same environment, same kind of response time, because you're only using your computer as a terminal.
So, I mean, but is, you can be in Excel and have Copilot at the same time. So it's not an exclusive one app or the other.
Right.
It's simultaneous, but
Right.
most of the time it's just in the way.
Well, it works kind of like the Edge browser. It can be out of the way, or it can be sharing the screen. It depends upon what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it.
Well, most of the time I'm seeing an email and picking an article I want to read, and so I stick it into open it, and that goes to WordPad or to Edge, and then you look at it there.
Well, I lost my picture, but hang on a minute.
Well, maybe you want to kill the
Well,
video.
I accidentally touched my cable and the camera cut out, but the mic's still there.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, cut the Zoom and you'll be okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Take care.